If you listen to the news, the church is in big trouble. Attendances are falling, and God is being shoved aside by other pursuits.
St Chad's Church, Bishop's Tatchbrook. Average Sunday congregation, 50. John Lewis Solihull, average Sunday congregation, 20,000.
In the face of such figures, it would be easy to become despondent. But we don't want to do that.
The Bishop of Manchester hopes that this welcome pack
It's very nice, isn't it?
will persuade more people to take a pew.
Well, the novel campaign comes as congregations continue to dwindle. There's even chocolate in there. Elaine Wilcox has the story.
The Bishop of Manchester wants us all marching into a church near you. The message is simple. So far, over 150 churches have signed up to encourage those who've lapsed to go back.
There's quite a lot of low morale around the country about church going, quite a lot of myths that aren't true. And we know that there are churches which can be alive, can be vibrant, can be full, because we've got some in this diocese.
Back to Church Sunday was launched in Manchester and quickly spread, using the oldest and simplest technique of all.
Back to Church Sunday answers one simple question, which is, my friends, would you like to come with me to something I love? It's not the whole of mission, but if we do that thing well, we're really contributing to mission. So back to church is where our focus is, because we want people to come back.
It's so simple, because at the end of the day, it is a friend inviting a friend. If there was a training evening for Back to Church Sunday, it would last 30 seconds, and it would go something like this. Would you like to come to church with me? And that would be the training evening.
When our last one vicar suggested we get involved in Back to Church, it seemed a good opportunity to go back to the people who we sort of know we've lost, if you like, people who stopped coming but still live in the area, and ask them to come back to us.
So how did you come to be in church today?
We've just recently moved to the village of Slapton.
And were you a churchgoer in the previous
yes,
village?
Yes, I was, but due to work commitments and sort of pressures on life, you tend to sort of always have something else to do. So I just decided it was time to come back, and having moved house, this was wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Well, good morning, everyone.
And so do you feel that you got a welcome here this morning?
Absolutely, absolutely. It was lovely. I didn't, it wasn't walking into somewhere strange, it was just walking into somewhere where I felt like I belonged again, and it was a lovely service and beautiful church, first time I've been here. So, no, it really was lovely. It filled me with warmth again, so...
Tell me how you got here today.
Cheryl Evans, who I've known since I moved into the village, came and knocked on the door and said, I want to invite you to Back to Church Sunday. And so we said, Cheryl, because it's you, we'll come.
So, one person invites one person.
Good morning, nice to see you.
But, as importantly, the whole church comes together to provide a welcome.
I think it helps always to see that what Jesus said about us being one church together, that's the prayer of Jesus, is being worked out on the ground. He also said that we're supposed to make disciples. So if we can't make disciples by working together, then it's a pretty poor start for us.
The whole point about Back to Church Sunday is that it's everybody doing the same thing on the same day. It means that we can tip the balance now, not just in terms of evangelism, but also in terms of justice.
Year after year, more and more churches have signed up to Back to Church Sunday, with the knowledge that they are far from alone.
If individual Christians feel that there are thousands of other individual Christians doing what they're doing, it gives them courage. It also helps when we're speaking to the nation to speak with one voice so that the national media might listen.
What we've found is that people hear it on the radio, see it on the television. Christians are encouraged to invite a friend because of that coverage, and sometimes people just walk into church all by themselves.
This just makes it easier for us to latch on to a whole national, even now, resources.
Would you be heading out to church today? If not, would you go along if you were invited by a friend?
The Viking Bishop of Doncaster, Cyril...
I've heard it on the radio this morning. I've heard it on the radio during the week that this weekend is going to be a Back to Church Sunday. And I think it's an opportunity that why miss it?
Although it's not an advertising campaign, what we know is that there's an uplift to the communications bit of the project, which means that it just gets people into church.
So that's why we say success is one person asking one person, and success is one big church.
But it's not just one big national church. It's one big international church.
Well, thank you ever so much for that very warm welcome. So it's a really, really good start, isn't it, to talking about this theme of welcome. Well, basically, we've actually kind of started Back to Church Sunday in a number of countries, New Zealand and Canada, and the impact in those countries has actually been exactly the same as the United Kingdom, mainly because it is a friend inviting a friend. In New Zealand, we saw somewhere around just under 1,000 people come to church invited by their friend, and so the impact has actually kind of started to go globally.
We call Back to Church Sunday the shortest step in evangelism. Some people are frightened of talking to strangers. Some people are frightened of talking to people who don't know or like them. But we're not asking people to do that. We're just saying talk to your friends about something that you love. That's what's so simple about Back to Church. And that's why when a church does it, on average, they see between 10 and 15 people coming back every time they do it.
I'm gobsmacked by what's happened, and maybe even godsmacked, actually, because just to think that such a few years ago we started with so few churches, and now it's you know, God's taking it all over the world. It's just phenomenal, and that we can play a small little part in it as well. Hallelujah.